Hopefully we're good this time. Let it load in real quick. Black screen? Please don't be a black screen. Is it a black screen again? Nope, it's not.
Again?
Yes, it's working.
Ah.
Sweet. Beam looks good. YouTube looks good. Twitch is still thinking. Yeah, Twitch looks good. Sweet. Hello.
Well, hello.
We're back and working this time. Okay, everybody's saying it works, so sweet. We can get going.
Cool. There you go. I see some chat there.
Yeah. Hello, Jando. So once we get going, I guess we can start with like asking questions or something.
Yeah, totally. I'm up for whatever.
Sweet.
Just came to hang out.
Yep.
Ooh, treasure chest.
Need more gunpowder. That's another great change, is being able to craft gunpowder.
Yeah.
I almost never used TNT before because crafting gun or getting gunpowder was so difficult. At least for me.
Yeah, the most ingenious, I don't know who to give credit for this, but the most ingenious prior to this change setup I saw or I heard about for gunpowder was a big pit that spawned a bunch of hotfoots, and then the roof would open through block phasers. They would take a set amount of damage from the sun, but then the roof would close right when they were low health, and then you could just drop one bomb on them, and kill a massive amount of hotfoots all in one go, and get their
That's actually really clever.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
A while ago when I was building my mob spawner, I toyed with the idea of using lava to try to get mobs down to one hit. But since it was more of like a mass mob spawner with different types of mobs, I felt like it wouldn't be as efficient because different health levels and stuff. But
yeah, I think that's a little, the damage over time from heat is probably a little harder to control.
I hadn't thought about using the sun. That's actually an interesting idea. Also, looks like David's in the Discord now.
Does my microphone work?
Yes, it does.
Awesome.
Well, hello,
how's it going? Hi, guys.
I think I might need to turn you down just a tiny bit, but that's all right. Doop. All right, we're good. Chats are talking. Jando joined the Create a Crew world. Would you be willing to help test some death traps in the future? That sounds fun. Maybe something.
Anything called a death trap is good by me.
Yeah. Oh, right. I still need extractors. I keep forgetting. There's all this coal everywhere. Oh, okay. That's still a bug. It says you activated the TNT.
I'm seeing that too. So I think I know what that is. And it's something we're going to look at. It has to do, it's really a boring explanation having to do with how the game tracks kind of which player controls certain simulations and mob AI and all that kind of stuff. And so it's on our radar.
Okay.
Because it's kind of annoying. You know, it has some weird results like that. No, Night Pigsy.
Ah. I've got a Rainbow Nader. I should have jumped in. I don't have any other swords because I had a Rainbow Nader bundle. Or in a bundle.
Right.
So I just claimed that at the beginning of the world, and I've been using that since, so I haven't crafted any other swords.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened to me. I joined a world I hadn't been in a while, and I had a Rainbow Nader crafted from when it was the equivalent to a stone sword.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I logged in again, and now I had a Lumite strength sword, and then a stone mining cell.
Yeah, I had some of the Rainbow Nader 5000 bundles from a while ago. I think you did like a Twitter giveaway or something like that.
Yeah.
Briefly. So I had a couple of those, and I just never used them. And they used to give 5. Or the bundles used to give 5 of them. But they were changed to do only 1.
It's too OP.
Jando, the death traps are mostly parkour obstacle stuff. Interesting. Sounds like fun. Still do TNT jumping.
Mm-hmm.
I never really did that back in the day. I think War Never Changes did that a lot.
Uh-huh.
Because before the glider, that was a pretty good way of getting around.
Yeah. Especially with the large TNT when that was around.
Yeah.
So which world are you guys in?
The information for it should be in the Discord server in the important information channel. But as soon as people start joining in, I think since it's middle of the day, people are still at work. And Europe's asleep. But for those of you that are here, since we have a couple of the people from Playful here, Brainsloth and David, we can do some Q&A kind of stuff. Oops.
Totally.
Blew up too much dirt. So, if you guys have any questions, anything to ask to the guys, drop them on in. In the meantime, we'll just be digging dirt and eventually building a castle.
Sounds like a plan.
This will be my first time actually building the castle. I never got around to doing it in the preview world.
Well, I hope you set aside 20 hours.
Yeah. Janda says, did you say Europe is asleep? It's around 19 to 20 in most of it. It's getting evening time, I suppose.
If Europe is asleep, they're an old man.
Yeah. Saber asks, does it feel good to finally have Creativerse launched?
Oh boy, yeah. Why don't you if you're still getting set up, David, that sounds like a good question for you. You've actually been kind of on the team and on the project longer than I have. I'll just say quickly for me, yeah, absolutely. It's been going, just really encouraged by all the enthusiasm that we've been getting. And kind of, so far it's been really unusually smooth. We've been waiting for something to blow up and cause all sorts of havoc, and it kind of hasn't happened. And so we're a little, I don't know.
I've noticed there's a lot of people on the forums that are complaining about pay to win or whatever, but I think that's the worst that's happened.
Sure. That happens, I think that can happen a lot when we have extra servicing on the Steam store, because people will see a big ad for Creativerse and oh, what's this? And then maybe it didn't get surfaced to them due to they like games of this type or something, or they play a lot of free-to-play games. They just saw it on the carousel or something, and so get a little extra attention always when that happens. But,
yeah,
that's okay. Our community is always super welcoming and real great about kind of handling comments like that with some amount of patience.
I would echo Brainsloth's comments. And add the only thing I think he left out is that it feels good to finally launch Creativerse.
Cool.
I'm gonna put it real succinctly.
Hey, I like it. Yours is better than my answer.
Yes, Jando, I saw your question. I'm just waiting for the previous question to be answered before we move on. So,
I am like way in the wrong place. What teleporter?
Side in the Pinks touchstone.
All right.
Jando's question is, will you guys make slabs for more blocks at some point?
Aha, so more shapes to our existing blocks. That's something we talk about a lot. This kind of, we go in different directions with that. Certainly we love the idea of extra shapes for all the different blocks. Like why not have, a salt inner slab corner or something like that, because you can build more stuff with that and it just creates more options. But kind of with the system we have in place right now, there's a little bit of overhead to, like, if we're going to expand that functionality to all our building blocks, it would be really cool, for example, if it just worked, right? We create one texture and then in one block, and then the system is smart enough to go ahead and spit out all those variants for us. And so I think that's kind of, we're waiting until we have the time, hopefully, to kind of create a more robust system for doing other shapes. And so that could be, so we introduce a new blue asphalt block or whatever it is, and then without having to kind of do separate art assets and all that kind of stuff, you have all the, you have all the shape options for all the blocks. And so part of that is kind of more boring under the hood technical stuff. One of our engineers, his pet request is that we have 32-bit blocks under the hood instead of 16-bit blocks. And so that kind of gives each block a little more information in the world to be able to track things like different shapes. And so it's kind of more of an architectural discussion, but definitely something that we love the idea and hope to get there.
Cool. David, I've got a iron mining cell for you here.
Ooh, that would be handy.
Just left over
Thank you.
from my progression yesterday.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you would really make a lot of engineers' days if you could get like kind of a groundswell movement going, campaigning for 32-bit blocks. And everybody would be like, well, how do they know about 32-bit blocks? And we'd be like, it doesn't matter. They want it. We have to put it in now.
Yeah.
So, go over to, change.org, start a petition, do whatever grassroots kind of work you want to do. Sadly, Brent is not at his desk right now. Otherwise, I'm sure he would be grinning hearing me talking about this. But yeah, he's been begging to do that for a while now.
Cool. Hello, lots of numbers and letters that I can't pronounce. Guy on Beam says hi. Saber's gonna go tweet it on Twitter.
Nice. It begins.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'd like to see, is just more options for blocks like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, whenever we get even the ones that we create manually, like the new corner blocks in, or a few releases back when we did those community choice slabs, slopes, and stairs. Anytime we do that stuff, it's always a huge win in the community because people say, yes, I was waiting for, the limestone slab or whatever it is, just because it fits in a certain build, and there's always going to be a build that uses, some variation of some block. And so, yeah, to be able to kind of handle all that at once by doing a more substantial upgrade would just be awesome, I think.
Yeah. Bam.
Here's that processor.
So you guys are streaming this on Twitch and Beam and a couple other places?
Yeah, I'm using Restream to answer Whiskey Gaming's question here. I'm streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Beam at the same time.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there goes all my TNT. Oh, no, I have more. Okay. Hello, Dr. Tech MD. This is just Minecraft, but easier. I'd say it's harder than Minecraft, actually, in a lot of aspects. Although, I mean, with latest updates or recent updates to skeletons in Minecraft. Those things are brutal. But Jando asks, do you think you will make some stuff like placeable rods, basically a half a slab?
Placeable. Oh, I see what he's saying. Well, I think if you're talking about starting to have like sub blocks that fit within a block, that's a more significant question than, like a rod shape. Right now, the closest things we have to that is like maybe the chain block, or sometimes if you stack fences where they're not linking to anything, they kind of look like a rod. So stuff like that, sure, I think that's all totally options. It just depends on kind of our art pipeline and what we can make time for. But I think that's a good suggestion. Just like, why can't I place down the Lumite rod and it looks like a rod? And I'd like to see, we have a lot of kind of crafting materials and stuff that don't have models in the game, and I think that'd be really cool to, if you could just plunk down an arc stone or a bone or something, and it works in the world. I think all that would be really sweet.
Yeah, I really like how the arc stone has a model that you can, when you put it like in a shell for a flower pot or something, it shows like a little egg. I think that would be pretty cool to see for the rest of the items like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Arcstone is the plucked right from the keep a character at the end of his little tendril on his head. He's carrying around an Arcstone, so we made it for him, and so just added it to the object itself.
Yeah, when we changed the super extractor recipe, somebody on Twitter was all mad that, what am I supposed to do with all these obsidian rods or something like that? And that would be one thing we could do to repurpose those. So maybe some kind of like vending machine where you can like feed in obsidian rods.
Sounds like a really specific item. This is the vending machine where you can only put in obsidian rods.
Yeah, see, if we did that feature, that's exactly how I'd want to implement it. Because that would just be awesome.
It would.
I like limited use features that can only be used for certain things. And
somebody in my stream this morning mentioned like a recycling machine or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've gotten that suggestion a number of times, and I think it's a great suggestion. It's just one we haven't really gotten around to yet.
Mysteriel says, who else is here? It's Brainsloth and David.
What's up, Mysteriel?
Hello.
Jando has around 3,000 obsidian rods on a server. That's a lot.
Then that vending machine would be for you.
It would.
Saber says, customizable vending machines. That would be pretty sick for a shop.
That is an idea right there.
Well, that's true. And so when we talk about kind of, if you followed our blog post that we had recently in our live stream that we just did yesterday, where we talked about what we want to do, how we want to introduce content in the future, that would really be how we think about something like a vending machine. It's like, how can we make this feature in a way that players can use it when they're creating content? And so that would be, a vending machine wouldn't just be something that you could plunk down in the world, but something that maybe had a function in adventures or in custom worlds that you're creating, where you could customize all the what it does, what it takes, what it puts out, and that's kind of how we would approach something like that. I think I'm digging too low into the ground.
It all needs to be at layer 83. But all this no, actually I don't think any of this will need to be replaced with grass, because the grass in the courtyard of the castle is a block up from this. So speaking of stuff that you mentioned in the live stream yesterday, I guess more questions. I have a question. Why is the wood rod so curly?
That is I don't know that I feel equipped to answer that one.
I think it could be answered with maybe like 2 words. Graphic designers.
That is a very valid answer. I honestly, wood has a personality of its own, and I think wood's going to do what wood's going to do. Nobody's going to tell it be straight wood because it's just gonna curl. It's just what
Yep.
it does.
Do.
Or graphic designers. I liked your answer too.
Saber says, small functionality question. Yesterday we were streaming on the Creative Community World. While placing LEDs, we noticed that we can't copy-paste hex codes. Might copy-paste be in the future?
Yeah, I'll handle that one. So that's, I think ultimately, yes, we want to kind of machines, and as part of this kind of adventure building, thing, the machines are clearly a huge part of that, but also can be used in your regular world. And one of our next steps is to let's go back and really polish that stuff and find ways to make it easier to use, easier to set up. Learning lessons from how difficult it is or it can be to, create a big display of LEDs or set up an adventure using lots of machines. And so I would say that's certainly, and I've heard that, and I think we've even talked about that as, that's if we could easily add that as a improvement to the LED, we should totally do that. And so the reason it's not is just the UI isn't set up for that. It's not I wouldn't even call it a design decision. It's just an opportunity for us to improve and polish it.
Yeah, something that I always kind of when I was first getting into machines, what I would always expect is having the rotation lock on a machine when placing another one would keep those same settings.
Yep.
So something like that.
Yeah, totally. I forget who. I think last time something like this came up with being able to set up a lot of LEDs with the same code, for example, that got mentioned. Just, hey, can we find a way to kind of repurpose that rotation widget and have it carry over, LED settings or machine settings? And I think that would be a really cool target for polish if we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, Mysterio, we got a lot accomplished. I think Sloppy and maybe Remy did some stuff on the side since I left. Stuff like being able to make missions, being able to choose which kind of blocks are diggable. Since all crafted blocks are diggable, it kind of ruins some ideas. And no jumping. So I'm guessing that's like customization options for...
Yeah, totally. No jumping. It's a cool one that I haven't heard. And I bet that's probably a pretty low-hanging one that we could do. We played on, I don't know who to give credit, but if you, on the adventure browser, look up the pinball machine, and the rule is, hey, you are the pinball, and you're getting knocked around by fans, and it's really cool, but the rule is, hey, you can't jump. Pinball can't jump. So being able to enforce that in a world option, I think is a no-brainer. That's a really cool idea.
Cool. Item comparison gate. Suggested that a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how that would work.
So basically, the code is place, the right block in this space, and then that'll open the door, whatever. So I can see that. Yeah, I mean, essentially it's a sensor. Feels like a sensor with kind of finer control. So you can set it, hey, detect players, or maybe you can just detect specific, fossil tier blocks, or, just giving it more options to be able to trigger on something entering a volume, even as fine as a certain block type. It's pretty cool.
Cool. Tranquil Chewy says I'm famous now. Anyway.
Yeah, when I was building my adventure, one of the things I wished I could do was have the ability to add settings to a container to detect when stuff had been removed. Like, so you take something out of a chest and that triggers an event, which would give you, all sorts of options. I think at one point I was trying to do something where it's kind of like that Zelda-style dungeon where you enter a room, the door closes behind you, and you have to defeat the enemies before it opens up again, and I couldn't figure out how to do that. I bet there's ways
I think I have figured out how to do that. I was playing around with it a while ago.
Oh, yeah?
And basically, I think you have to have, 2 sensors, one that's sensing for creatures in a room, and then once you've killed all the creatures, then it will go to, an inverter or something like that, and it opens the door back. So
Okay. Nice. I'll have to give that one a try. One of these days I want to do another adventure, but I just haven't had time.
If they match, the gate sends a true signal. Yeah. YouTube didn't send a message again? Okay. The way I suggested it was the gate connects to a chest. You input the items into the gate, 40 slots, 10 blocks maximum per slot. Then you can see what you need to input into the chest. If they match, the gate sends a true signal. Hello, Rathos. You might have missed something a little bit. Yeah. We're doing some exciting stuff over here.
It's true.
So something I had a thought of yesterday after the discussion on the stream about the future of the game, about the whole like custom world type options, that kind of thing. And what came to mind while I was just running around in a forest is one of the things that I really miss about the World V1 stuff is, oops, wrong touchstone. The one thing I miss about that is the giant elderwood trees, like the super thick ones.
Right. Those were fun. I had my base in one of those on the old Creativerse VIPs server that a bunch of us played on.
Yeah. So it was, something that came to mind is like I could learn to speak English for one. Is like making like some of the world trees, like the giant round wildwood trees that exist. Making those out of different types of wood would be really cool.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So like to modify the terrain generation to change
Sure.
the blocks for those types of trees.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that sounds kind of exactly like the idea behind opening up even, the map type and the terrain generation to customization. You know, why not say, well, instead of grass, I want the ice world, and wherever there would be grass, just put ice. You know, start with that, and just be able to, just do mass swaps. And it's really, so I mean, I think there's a lot of work between here and there, because right now the map templates we're on have been pretty static for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. That sounds to me exactly like the kind of customization we're talking about.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure once we get around to doing stuff like that, that kind of stuff will be on our list for sure.
Sweet. Hello, Kissin player. I don't know how to say your name. Sorry. I'm way low on resources. I don't have a lot of stuff for extractors right now. Sweet. Got this all flattened. Time to place down the blueprint, I think.
Uh-oh.
So are you building this with a kit or from scratch?
Yeah, I got the kit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't want to spend the whatever it is hours generating collecting all the resources. I don't have that kind of time. Somebody in stream yesterday suggested that I do it or rebuild the castle with Lumite. Which I don't know if that would be possible, even with all the Lumite in the world. Maybe.
Oh, it's possible. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of mileage you could get out of doing custom material swaps on this castle. One of our artists here, Nick, he did a version out of sand, and he swapped it out, and he made it a sand castle. We're going to post that on social media sometime soon. It's really awesome. He did a great job, and it's just using the swap function.
Empty my inventory because I have too much stuff. Arathos, I've noticed whenever I enter a world, I spawn with my flashlight off, but registering is on.
Yeah, we've got that bug logged. That's just, we need to fix it.
Sweet.
Just a bug. It's on the radar.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well sometimes. So.
Yeah.
Another joke thing that we mentioned in the stream yesterday was with the sheer amount of deaths that we were having on the server in the first little bit, we could build the castle with death statues.
Yes.
I would love to see that. That would be awesome.
All right, I guess I should enable the blueprint, huh? That might help, or activate it.
Well, there you go.
Cool.
Just got a little work to do there.
Yeah.
We're nearly there.
Yeah, halfway there.
Well, practically halfway there, because this hill is pretty much up to the top of the castle.
All right, I placed the grass block, you guys.
Great job.
Thanks.
You the real MVP.
John Slash. So excuse my ignorance, but this is the first time even hearing about Creativerse, but it looks like Minecraft a lot. So in terms of Creativerse versus Minecraft, what are the pros and cons? Ooh.
Pros and cons. First of all, welcome, John Splash 8. Nice of you to check us out. I guess maybe you saw us on Steam. We're up on we just launched, and so getting a lot of kind of new faces. And so I don't know. Maybe I feel like I'm not the best person to kind of talk about the pros and cons. But certainly when we we're big Minecraft fans, and so the original idea behind it was like, man, what can we do to make our own kind of ultimate version of a sandbox game? And so that's kind of had a long journey to get us to where we are now. One of my favorite differences is what we're looking at right here, which is a blueprint. This is essentially, if you haven't seen this before, we're looking at a big guided build of something unique. And so this is the colossal castle. It's enormous, but a block at a time is going to tell us how to build it. So that's kind of one of my favorite things that we've got in Creativerse.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, at a high level, the two things I would call it is Creativerse is free to play, and we do all of the hosting ourselves here at Playful. So you just enter the game, you find the world your friends are playing in, and you're instantly playing together. You don't have to deal with setting up servers or anything like that. And the idea is just to make it as easy as possible to get in and start being creative and having fun with your friends, and then giving people tools to share that with the world. And I think our newest, relatively new adventure feature shows the direction we want to go there, where you can basically, with a couple of simple steps, publish your world to the entire community and have millions of players check out your work. So it's built for easy creativity, built for playing together with friends, and built for sharing the stuff you make with the world really easily.
One of the things I like about Creativerse when compared to Minecraft is the detailed decoration blocks, like the furniture and stuff. That's just something that I don't know how possible it is within the engine that is Minecraft. Obviously, those get added in mods and stuff, but speaking of the vanilla game, I really like the decoration options. I mean, just look at these blocks, like this medieval spike wall. It's gorgeous. Except it doesn't hurt people. Jando, one of the big things for me, as far as I understand, you can't really secure your stuff in Minecraft, but in Creativerse, you can claim it in an area, securing it from random people. Yeah, like that kind of thing in Minecraft has to be done through mods.
Yeah, that kind of comes along with, making it, we try to make it really easy for someone to, if you're hosting a world and you want someone to join you, say, hey, here's the name of my world, and they can join. And the side effect of that is it's really easy to join a world, right? And so if you're especially if you're advertising a world on Twitter and social media or with your friends, it can be really easy for someone to kind of join in and kind of get up to shenanigans and start busting stuff up. And so kind of with that, and we've been doing that just kind of throughout the course of development, adding more and more admin controls and world protection, and ban claims was a big one, but also just where you can have a world admin or a mod and kind of set up a whole system of how you take care of your world and have it kind of really pretty finely set to just how you want to do that. If you want people to be able to play on claims and only use explosives there, we kind of have a pretty robust system for doing that. And so I think that was definitely necessary once we kind of doubled down on, hey, let's make multiplayer with your friends really easy.
Cool. Ink says, I think one of the best parts of the game itself, the community is constantly interacting with each other, and the devs are just as immersed within the community. The graphics are actually gorgeous. Yeah. I feel like that's one of the most important things, especially in more recent game development times, is the developers being very interactive with the community. I think that's almost a requirement in today's gaming culture, I suppose you could say.
Well, and I think that the nature of Creativerse is like a sandbox game where anything is possible. That approach is actually super helpful to take, because if we had made Creativerse just in a vacuum, just within our studio, it would look way different than it is today, and it would, I think we said it on the blog post, it would be a shadow of what it is today, because the players, their feedback and the things they showed us, the kind of cool stuff that we never would have even considered doing with the systems and items in place, totally influenced and helped us make the game better.
For sure. Saber Dev, question along a completely different vein. Will there ever be any modding support, say, through the Steam Workshop?
Go ahead, David.
I think it's too early to say specifically what our plans are there. And that's why if you read the blog post, it's a little vague on that front. It kind of teases some cool ideas we have for that. But we shy away from the word mod, just because that means depending on who you talk to, that could mean an entirely different thing. Possibly with the Steam Workshop, we might pursue that, but at this point, it's all just speculation, and we'll probably hammer out those specifics once we get closer to actually getting ready to build that kind of a system. We certainly want to take the game in a direction where it gets close to that level of customization, but it's hard to do that level of customization while also making it super accessible and easy for like anyone to mess with. So it's kind of a balancing act of like, how can we make this like really powerful, but also usable by pretty much anyone who plays the game. So yeah, that and the fact that we don't always want to just be only on Steam. I think someday we'd like to be on other platforms. So figuring out how that works with all the different ecosystems of platforms out there is going to be something that at best we can speculate on at this point.
That was one thing. When I first got my Nintendo Switch, one of my first thoughts was, I really want Creativerse on this thing. Obviously, that's probably anywhere near any roadmap, but I think that would be great.
I agree. That would be awesome.
More questions. Lots of questions. Holy crap. I might need to bring up YouTube here because I think they're starting to cut off on my screen. I have to leave. Well, sorry you missed, maybe. But before that, two quick questions. Will there ever be sea life, or can we ever find a way to make our own blueprint where we can take on other servers?
I'll handle those. I mean, yeah. So sea life is something we've wanted to do kind of forever. It's kind of it stands out if you look at the world that we have right now and the biomes and the mobs. It's kind of a most of the world has a lot of life, and you can go into the jungle and there's jungle life, or you can go down into lava layer. But the sea is pretty much dead. It's like sand and coral and limestone and water. So that's a huge. If we wanted to kind of start adding more life to the game or more mobs, and those are the kinds of things we want to do, because not only is it to add a mob that goes in the water is not only good for kind of making the oceans better, but the way we're going to view it is that another mob is another tool for our players, right? In this kind of long-term vision of the ultimate creative platform for making your own games and your own custom worlds. And so certainly if we were to kind of start to list, okay, we know we want to make more mobs because they could be great tools for custom experiences and stuff. What should we make? I think water mobs are always going to be on that list because it's just something that a niche that we haven't filled at all yet. So definitely, that stands out to me as a clear win if we're trying to solve that problem. And what was custom blueprints? That's something I think it would be fair to say that the team is pretty much in love with the idea of custom blueprints, and we want to do that. And again, it dovetails right in with this kind of the long-term vision of how can we enable our players to create and share their creations, and ultimately even maybe find ways to monetize them, offer them, what if there was a store, and this is just speculation, but a blueprint store that was filled with user creations, and then when someone bought your blueprint, you got you were able to share the profits of it. That's kind of what we're from a at a high level, kind of what we're talking about when we talk about making Creativerse this creative platform. And so but because we love blueprints so much, and because of we know that the creative power of our community collectively is much greater than our own. I think that's a natural going to be a natural step for us to want to take.
One thing we can be specific about is that when we do it, obsidian rods will be the main form of currency.
It's true.
Things are scrolling off the window again. Hold on. Don't know if it was asked, but was it a simple oversight that the Adobe slopes aren't able to be processed into corner blocks? Also, can we get concrete slopes and steps with corners too?
Concrete, those are fun blocks. I don't use a lot. Yeah, so to answer the second part first, that's kind of what we discussed a little earlier, which is ultimately we'd like to have it kind of be, just a part of the game that any block, I think we love this idea anyway, that any block could be, kind of put into those basic shapes. Why not have a slab of salt, and why not have a slope of corrupted dirt? And so I will put concrete into that category too. Oops, I'm putting in stone. I will put concrete into that category too. But specifically the Adobe and kind of the existing the slopes and blocks that didn't get a corner treatment this time, we're planning to go back and pick those up. This time we specifically focused on, because we don't have that robust system where it just works, we kind of cut up a piece of it and said, okay, this time we're just going to get crafted roofs and crafted stairs. And so what got left off that list was that list of community choice slab slopes and stairs that we did a few releases back. So that's like the grass stairs and the glass slopes and all that set. And so, but we're planning to go back and pick those up when we can.
Cool. Jando asks again, for the devs, are you interested in making a trap update sometime down the road, adding stuff like a spike damaged wall?
Yeah, to me that feels, I can't speak specifically to kind of the design of what something like that would look like. That would be a good question if we had one of our designers in here or something. But for sure, just generally, the idea of more interactive kind of pieces that you can set up in your world is exactly kind of what we want to do. And so that could be things like a trap block that reacts and does damage, or maybe it heals under if you send a signal to it, or maybe it's a finish line or a timer or a sound block. Those kind of more tools that have more life to them than just that you can kind of set up to create those experiences is exactly the kind of stuff that we want to ultimately just kind of keep churning out.
Cool. Lots of things more. I see you got some driftwood logs. Woo. One question: any possibility for Creativerse VR?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. Playful is, I wouldn't call us a VR company, but we are a company very interested in VR. Obviously, our other game, Lucky's Tale, is exclusively a virtual reality game. So we have done experiments with it, and it's something we continue to experiment with. At this point, it's still too early to say one way or the other whether that will ever, be something we release for our players. But it is something we're definitely interested in, and if we can figure out a way to do it that is a really great experience and enhances the game as it currently is, then yeah, I think that's a safe bet. But I'm hesitant to get a little, to overpromise there, because it is still something we're trying to figure out.
I think if Creativerse were to come to VR, I would probably spend way too much time.
Yeah, me too.
Hello, Captain Chris. How are you doing today? Lull of questions now that we've caught up. One question I did have in my head, as I've been thinking over the past little bit, is the thing. Like, how did that happen? Like, did one of your artists just come in one day and be like, hey, look at this. My hand slipped while I was drawing and I made this, or something like that?
David, do you have any original memories of Bing and kind of from whence he sprung?
I don't. I joined the company in April 2014, and the thing was in there, and so I was not part of that boardroom discussion, but I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall to, see where the inspiration came from exactly. Perhaps a nightmare.
I think the running theory that I've heard most is that it was the result of like a teleporter accident, where a bunch of mobs went into a teleporter at once and all got kind of merged together. That's my favorite theory.
That's
Anyway.
plausible. I will give that one the seal of plausibility, since I can give it nothing else because I have no insider knowledge. But yeah, that's a good question. I will have to see if anyone on the team knows.
Cool. Hello, speaking Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, so, hi, I guess. Will there ever be an air animal? Because most people have pro. That could be interesting.
That could be interesting. For my answer, rewind in the stream about 20 minutes and then replace my answer about water creatures. And just whenever you hear the word water, just plug in air. I think that'll handle it.
The character that got trapped in this land that teleported off into the backstory, is there a chance that he got trapped in a different world with different physics and everything? That's an interesting thought. And maybe he got turned into a little creature named Lucky?
Uh-oh, crossover.
Well, it's fun if you play Lucky's Tale. The opening, it's kind of a cinematic in VR style. If you look closely on Lucky's bed, there are some Leafy and Pigsy plushies.
Oh.
So we threw that little Easter egg in there.
I still have yet to get VR, but when I do, I think Lucky's Tale is probably going to be one of the first ones I pick up.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm a little biased, but...
Sure. The good news is it ships with every Oculus Rift sold. So you don't even have to pick it up. You get out Rift, and you get Lucky's Tale.
Is it compatible with the Vive, or is it Rift only?
It is exclusive to the Oculus Rift.
Okay.
Though that hasn't stopped some enterprising folks from figuring out how to port it over. So I think there's a working version on the Vive, but it isn't officially supported.
Cool. Isn't a hint on the loading screen? Don't let Pizzy use the teleporter. I'm guessing that's referring to the whole thing theory. Don't let Pigsy use the teleporter. He'll turn into a thing.
You know what? I asked the question on our Slack channel, and Thor just said he's a mutated creature. Miro plus Pigsy plus question mark plus corruption.
Mm-hmm. I did notice some Miro eyes on him last time I was fighting one. So
your theory about a teleporter mishap may be correct.
Cool. How often do you guys actually play the game? Just wondering how much you get to actually enjoy your awesome creation.
That's a good question. It varies for me. I think certainly everyone kind of gets to do it certain amounts. I tend to, because of what I do here on the team, I'm more involved in the community, and so I tend to play when I'm trying to create something to share, or working with our sneak preview team and kind of jumping in the world with them to kind of help, just listen out for when they're discovering things or collect their feedback. And so in the course of the day, that's usually when I get to fire up the game and play, unless I make some time at home, which I like to do as well. I mean, I enjoy playing our game, and I'll definitely fire it up on the PC at home and build something madly when I can.
Yeah, I would say I play, most of my playtime is similar to Steven's. I'm at work and I'm working on something to share with the community, or I'm in a world with some players just hanging out. I kind of go through cycles, and I play a lot in spurts, and most recently I really enjoyed building my own adventure about a month or so ago. So I put a ton of time into the game, just in my free time at home, making that adventure and kind of tweaking it, refining it. But yeah, I will kind of, I'll drop a bunch of hours into it for a couple weeks, and then I'll kind of get busy on something else at work, and then I'll kind of pick it back up again.
Cool. Trinkle Chewy, I would love to see customizable aircraft and boats, leaving the world onto another, etc. Basically, vehicles that actually move.
That's a pretty cool idea. Whenever I see one of our really talented builders and they've made an awesome, enormous, detailed ship, yeah, you totally do want it just to start moving and sailing off into the water. And so I think certainly that's a kind of an ambitious goal, but just in a general sense, anything like that, I don't know, that I would love to get to the point where we have machines that could work together to kind of that, that level of power. Like, hey, you put the right machines together and you program it just the right way, or you hook them up just the right way, you can start to get things that kind of scoot around the map. And so definitely no specific thoughts about exactly how that would work or when we do it, but I love those kinds of ideas. And that kind of, one thing we have is whenever we get together just as a team and we talk about, hey, what do we want to see in the game, those, what should we do next, what should be next on our roadmap, those discussions are always just fun because they're super super, you know, enthusiastic and kind of optimistic. Like, why don't we do this? Why don't we do? And it could be something that's really, kind of pie in the sky. Just anything is possible. And so we definitely still have that mentality when we're trying to think of, what should be the next thing that we spend time on.
Cool.
I will say another thing that popped up on Slack. Thor said there were some cool fan theories about the Thing being the lost creator.
Oh.
So combine two interesting theories into one right there.
Hello, the Banana Army. How are you doing?
What's up, Banana Army?
I guess along those lines, do we have a chance to ever see Pixie?
I don't know. Steven, do you
That
know?
wasn't a suspicious response at all.
Do you know much about Pixie, Steven?
About Pixie, what do I know about Pixie? So, for context, I guess is for many folks that haven't gone deep down the rabbit hole of what do these fragments of story that are kind of seeded throughout the world. So you open a treasure chest and you get a crash dump, chip, and it's got a little coded reference on it, or you find a torn note from someone who's been here before you. And so, kind of what we talked about in our stream the other day is that those kind of serve this original vision of telling a story of this world, this mysterious world. And, really kind of as our vision for the game matured, what we found that we really want to tell is, your story and the player's story, and harness their creativity to tell any kind of story. And so in that context, these kind of specific story notes are, maybe don't have quite the meaning that they once did, although there's still certainly a lot of players that like to kind of pour over them and assign meaning to them and guess at what they're hinting. And so in that context, Pixie was referenced, I think, only on one note. And I think kind of the hint was that Pixie was kind of this UI, or not UI, this AI, was this user interface, was this AI that maybe was with whoever was on this world, whoever came before you, and that maybe some of those kind of lore fragments that you find came from the perspective of this AI called Pixie. So in that context,
Pixie.
I know. Is it a coincidence that they kind of sound the same? I don't know. So in that context, I probably don't have a ton to say about who Pixie really is. But all I would really say is that if we did, if we, took time and kind of explored maybe an AI or a character that was like Pixie, it probably would take a different form at this point. We would definitely, just like everything else, kind of try to view it through the lens of how can we create this and have it be a tool for our players. And so that opens the question, okay, well, can we create, if we're talking about an AI, which really what that is maybe an NPC, and can we create a NPC that our players can use? And so to me, when I think of Pixie, which is often, that's kind of the context in which I do, which is that would be if we created, if we took the time to it wouldn't be really us telling that story, but us providing the framework for players to tell that story. So that's kind of what I would say.
In other words, you tell us who Pixie is, because you get to write the story.
All right. So now,
who is Pixie to you?
To me?
Exactly.
I mean, when you were talking, something that came to my mind is maybe she could be like the mascot or whatever for some future when you have the Steam Workshop. So in a mods window, she could be like the kind of the mediator between those or something like that.
I like it.
Something I love about our creatures in the game is that they're so packed with personality, I think. And so that's kind of how we use, Pigsy and Rambo and Leafy right now as kind of our mascots and our, whenever we have to or we get to do something that's got a little bit of one of our characters. We use those guys, and so
Yeah.
certainly a dedicated kind of or a new kind of mascot. I think sounds really fun to me.
JL Juan, this is the Creatinators server. It's a private server. But if you want to join a world that I will potentially be joining in, you can join the Create a Crew Discord, and they have a public server going that I will be getting on every once in a while. So join that, and you can get on there. Janda, it would be pretty awesome if you guys made some adventures where we get to play as the original guy. I mean, you can make that adventure just along those
That's
same
what I
lines.
was going to say.
Yeah.
It would be pretty awesome if you, Zendo, could make that adventure.
Oh,
I would
snap.
play it.
I would too.
Hello, Sloppy.
tweet
Welcome.
about
Sloppy in the chat. Is there a
What's up,
specific
Sloppy?
era or theme to this game? The castle is medieval, but the power gauntlet is futuristic.
As far as tying into a Earth era, no, I don't think so. I think we want to expand, in fact, rather than nail down the scope of different themes and blocks. We want to make anything possible, and so whether it's a medieval castle, and certainly that's popular, and I think a lot of our players were excited to be able to build a castle using these real kind of medieval looking blocks, and I think it's really cool. But then why not also have a futuristic set or whatever it could be, So I think you can expect us to continue to look at a lot of different options for themes and without worrying about it tying into kind of essential. Well, what is this world? Let's give the players the ability to make the world whatever they want, and we can do that by just providing lots and lots of different content that players can use in different ways.
Cool. I had a thought about that, but I just totally drew a blank. Brain, why do you do this? We were talking about the style. The style of this game kind of reminds me of the aesthetic in Star Wars, in that it's kind of futuristic, but at the same time, this futuristic technology seems almost like deprecated and like it's been around for ages.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like their quote unquote ancient temples are very kind of have this similar style of like rubbled stone and kind of just that general aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, there's the weathered wood wall.
Yeah.
No, it's
Kind
true.
of gives it a worn, lived-in feel.
Jando says, "Did you just hire me to make an adventure?"
Challenged. Yes, I definitely challenged you. My question is, are you going to accept the challenge?
Top Super Mega says the biscuits are coming. So that's terrifying. Here come the biscuits.
Oh gosh.
I don't know whether to be happy or scared, or both.
I could eat a biscuit.
Yeah.
But could you fight a biscuit?
No. Fight it by eating it.
Welcome back from surgery, the Banana Army. Hope it all went well. Ryan says, could you add bows or other ranged weapons different than bombs? I'll do that in a minute.
David, that's something y'all kind of addressed a little bit in the live stream. Do you kind of remember what were the thoughts that y'all kind of conveyed?
Man, that whole day was a blur. I can't remember anything from that day.
I don't want to say something and then it's the opposite of what you said.
Let me see. If only there was some way to go back and listen to what I said. No, I'm just kidding. I think the thing we said was so we called out the post that our game designer published that really gave a high level view of our plans for the game. But we wanted to call out specifically, just because we didn't bring it up in this post doesn't mean it's not something that's off. It doesn't mean that's off the table at this point. So definitely things like ranged weapons, NPCs, mounts, boats, any of that other stuff is still stuff that we think is cool. We're excited by, and may be stuff that finds its way into the game at some point. But I think the thing we wanted to be transparent about and kind of give a rough timeline for was some of that higher level stuff. Just to kind of say, like, okay, we're still going to do lots of stuff, but these are the things we kind of want to steer towards the major feature beats. So that's kind of a rather rambly way of saying maybe.
Super Keon, please keep the language to a minimum. Thank you. And also, hi Banana Army. You said my name twice. What's up? Creativerse has a cannon. I think a cannon would be. Whoa! Super jump. Hello. I think a cannon would be a great way to have some sort of ranged weapon. It kind of fits the aesthetic a little bit with kind of the stony feel. In my opinion, at least.
I think some kind of arc laser or arc beam might be cool. Or maybe if you could, like, you know how you can rotate beacons.
Mm-hmm.
You assign some kind of damage hit point to the beam.
Sounds a little OP.
It does sound OP, which is why I like it, because I like OP.
Yeah, definitely. If we looked at that, and I feel like I say this a lot, but it would be through not so much, well, definitely what's cool. What do we like the idea of? What feels really cool, and maybe it feels fun and satisfying to use. Like that's going to be a part of any kind of consideration of a new thing we add. But also the interesting thing with kind of the vision of Creativerse is what experiences does this enable our players to make. And so if we talk about a ranged weapon, well, I think it kind of does open up a whole new direction of adventures and worlds that players can create. If you have a ranged weapon, kind of now you can, and maybe you also have multiplayer adventures, you can kind of start to set up arenas where you're keeping score, and you're putting those pieces in place to create a huge variety of games. Or maybe you don't make it, maybe it's not an FPS arena, maybe it's a role-playing game, but that's your weapon. And so viewing it as just more pieces, more tools that all kind of because of the way they interact with each other and can be used in different combinations, just enable a crazy amount of potential content and experiences for our audience to create. I think that's how we would definitely want to think about something like a ranged weapon.
Cool. Ink says he can definitely design an arc cannon for you guys.
That would be great. Please do that and post it on the artwork section of our Steam forums, and we will share that around with the team and get everyone excited to do it.
I think somebody also mentioned earlier, I kind of missed it in the chat, scrolled up. I can't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned that they think that the gauntlet is Pixie.
Oh.
So that is that's the idea I'm familiar with, and I'm not an authority on the subject. If we had Thor in here, he could speak more authoritatively about it. But the idea I had heard was that Pixie was some kind of AI that lived inside your gauntlet. Kind of the way, I think it's kind of the way Cortana works in Halo. It's not like that's Pixie isn't the gauntlet, but that's one way she can kind of manifest is through the gauntlet. So.
Sloppy Gaming says Rainbow Unicorn Gauntlet. We definitely need a Gauntlet Nader or something to go along with the Rainbow Nader.
I agree. I like the idea.
I think that's something somebody mentioned a while ago, or probably on my stream yesterday or sometime. of having like pro gauntlets that were similar to how you have pro swords that were like equal tier to diamond or something, but were just a different aesthetic. I think that would be pretty cool.
I'd love to see that. Just kind of these basic, the gauntlet. It sits there in your on your HUD all day while you're playing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a huge, that'd be a big win to get. Why not have the, the rainbow gauntlet, the unicorn gauntlet, or just anything. It could be the sci-fi gauntlet or the medieval gauntlet, right? Like that goes with this set. I think I would love to see us start to do those, just like we do the hidden temple sword or the medieval sword.
Cool. Sloppy also says Cortana is Bay. Okay, it was Jando that mentioned the gauntlets. So.
How dare you, David?
Uh-oh.
Get out of here while you're on cooldown.
I have left a little package here for you so you can retaliate. I have stun bombed my colleague because I just couldn't help it. I claimed a bundle that I found in my inventory from way back when, and it just so happened to include stun bombs, and I can never resist.
Well, now is a good time to read some questions then. Now that Jando says, now that we've gone live, congratulations, by the way. What is your next goal? 10K people online seems like a nice goal, and you're already getting close. It's been near 7,000 all day.
My goal is 1 million within the hour.
Let's do it. Seems easy enough.
I think so.
That's some rapid fire rhyme cones you get there.
That's interesting. I guess you can throw a barrel of rhyme cones and then they cool down.
Huh.
Whoa, you're totally right.
I don't know if that's intentional or not.
Well, I won't say anything about it if you don't.
But I will stun you once and then twice, and now I'm out. And I actually, I would love to stay and play for longer. I've got a couple things I've got to get going to do. I can't speak for Steven, but I really appreciate the invite. This has been a lot of fun, and I would love to do more stuff like this at some point.
Sweet.
We are a small, scrappy team. We all wear a lot of hats, and I'll have a lot of responsibilities. But certainly, I'd love to make time for more of this stuff in the future. So, and Steven has gotten me a final time. I think he might actually be trying to murder me. Good thing I have a whole bunch of potions. The cooldown's gonna get me though.
Couple more questions as you're heading out. Here's a question: will there be a third-person camera option in game that does not reset to first person when you move?
I certainly hope so at some point, and I'm gonna let Steven elaborate on it from there.
All right.
I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for joining up, David.
All right. See you.
See you around.
Sure, and I think I'll let me take a few more, and then I'm gonna sign off too. So, what was the question about? I'm sorry.
A third-person camera option that doesn't reset when you move.
So that's an interesting kind of problem to solve in a game like this. It's something that I've heard our director, it's been a while, but I've heard him say that he really likes that idea, and it would be certainly a kind of a different way to play and really fun. But there are kind of issues you have to solve, just like game design issues. Like, for example, if you're walking through a small tunnel, what does the camera view look like? Because you start to, it's just, it starts to maybe not look so good if you're kind of in cramped quarters or in certain kind of situations in a dynamic world that you had no idea what shape it's going to be in. And so I think that would be a cool kind of problem to try to solve if we get a chance. I don't think that's anywhere kind of on our immediate timeline. The kind of things that are coming up soon that have more to do probably with kind of these creative tools that we're talking about and adventures and kind of those vectors that we've called out as being the stuff that we're really excited to level up right now. But it would be, I think, if time allows and if we get that chance, there's definitely some enthusiasm for trying to figure that out and finding out how do we make that work in a game like Creativerse.
Sweet. Questions. Now that you mentioned rhyme cones, can there be an option to change the cooldown of throwable items?
I don't know. I don't have like a really specific answer to that. I've heard some suggestions that I personally like, which would be like, well, that's kind of customizable maybe through the world difficulty, or and I guess in general, I can definitely say that um, having those kind of customizables is definitely in the realm of what we want to do for worlds. So if a cooldown doesn't make sense in the game you're creating for your adventure, for example, then maybe we definitely need to kind of give that tool to the player. And so for right now, I wouldn't. I think that there are some, in the core adventure game that we have right now, that there were some kind of just balance concerns that those changes addressed, and to make PvP a little less broken, where you can't just stun lock someone forever, for example, or just spam potions infinitely. And so they definitely address some things that were standing out as a little broken in the core adventure game. But in the long term, when we're looking at those customization options and tools for creating really unique adventures, I think certainly we look at stuff like cooldowns or any of those kind of data-driven values that define how long things take or how hard things hit or whatever. That's all on the table for customization in the future.
Cool. Tranquil Chewy, one of the things I loved about version 1 worlds were the shapes of mountains. Is there any way to get some version 1 characteristics back into current worlds in the way that they are generated?
I don't have a lot of technical knowledge about how the templates were kind of generated. I mean, a lot of that has to do, to me, my understanding is what it seems like is just kind of a marriage between art and also engineering. You create these, shapes like of trees or of terrain or of, the canyons, and then through an algorithm, you randomly generate a world that uses those art assets. And so I've heard that feedback tool, and that's something I liked about our old kind of pre R14 worlds was you could get some really interesting looking kind of mountain shapes and stuff in the newer templates after R14. I think it kind of got bigger overall, and so maybe you don't get some of those really unique and kind of interesting mountain shapes. And yeah, I would certainly say if that's something we go back to addressing, say, hey, how can we get, or maybe, give the option to go even more extreme, how can we make it at least an option? I like those. I personally like those too.
Cool. Yeah, I really liked some of the World V1 stuff. I've gone back into my original world several times and checked some stuff out, and there's a lot of interesting features. So.
Yeah, for sure. There's still some holdouts, I think, that are kind of hunkered down in their old V1 worlds and doing their best to make it work. But they're, unfortunately, since they kind of lack all the modern biomes, there's no savanna, there's no jungle, that some of the stuff just still isn't available.
Yeah. Sloppy asks, are you guys working on progress and saving progress in adventures? I think you mentioned this in the stream yesterday.
Yeah, so I think we're at a time where we're going to start to look at exactly what kind of work like that we want to start knocking out. But I think that definitely falls under the umbrella of improvements to adventures. There's some things, the basic, V1 version of adventures is there. And, but, you can get 20 minutes into adventure and then you get disconnected or something, internet goes out and you're like, oh, I guess that's it, because there's no way to resume that session. So yeah, having a session that could save your progress, and then that goes right along with multiplayer and easier kind of testing and iteration on your adventures and all those things that we want to do to make that system feel just all the more easy to use and intuitive and fun to play.
Yeah, the dirt won't turn to grass as long as there are torches on them. I'm aware of that, so I've been kind of removing torches a little bit. what are they now? Turtles? Turtles, and Trinkle Chewy also mentions monkeys in the jungle. And, of course, bananas is food.
Yeah, I was just having a discussion with some of the guys on the team about, we have, I love our mobs, and we have these really specific kind of, we have Pigsy. We don't have a pig, we have Pigsy, and we don't have a chicken, we have Chizard. And so, while those are fun and have a ton of personality, I would love to see, more basic options too. And so when you make an adventure, the protagonist doesn't always have to be like, well, just a race of alien Chizards came down. Like, you can get more basic than that, and more kind of broad with the stories you're trying to tell. And so down the line, I think that's all kind of, it just has to do with really, it's what do we have the bandwidth to do on the art side to kind of design more and more mobs and on the design side. And so it's just all a matter of time. We would love to do all that stuff.
Cool. I mean, I'm always for new mobs in the game.
Yeah.
Just new options to use in adventures and stuff.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, I think also I need to go ahead and wrap it up here. It's 2:00, so
All right.
Our local time. So I'm going to go try to get in a little more work on some of my stuff. But I really appreciate the invite. And just like David said, it's a lot of fun, and I'd love to keep doing stuff like this. Feel free to invite us anytime.
Sweet.
And if we get some time, we'll just drop by.
I mean, I'll probably be streaming this week all in the mornings, and you guys are always welcome to pop on. We'll just be hanging out in a voice channel. So.
Cool. Sounds great.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, Brainsloth, aka
no
Steve.
sweat.
So.
That's me.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Later.
Peace. All right, and then I think with that, I'm going to head out as well. So thank you guys for coming and asking questions. For sure, go and join in on the Creative Crew public server. I might get on that later today and hang out. So definitely hop over there. We'll have some fun on that. So, yeah, thanks for coming out, everybody. And we'll probably see you tomorrow morning for another stream. So, yeah, hang out a little bit here just as we wait for chat to... Yeah, go watch Sloppy Gaming. Go do it. Are you streaming? Are you streaming, Sloppy? Because if you're streaming, then yeah, I'll spam your link. You're not streaming. Lies. Yeah, go subscribe to Sloppy. Go subscribe to me. I need the subscribers more than Sloppy does. Thank you, Saber. Follow that link. Join that Discord. Get on in there. All right. I'm headed out then, so see you later. Go watch Sloppy stream tonight, and peace out. Bye-bye.